An interesting world we live in when the Chinese communists are a more entertaining option than the DEI-driven, ESG-funded woke Marxists. Welcome back to Words of Paradise. I'm your host, Leon Idle, and if you guys haven't heard, Black Myth Wukong, an upcoming AAA Chinese video game, is making the rounds for not having DEI shoved into their games, in fact, outright rejecting it, and being targeted for it by the American mainstream media. We're going to go ahead and get into this. Before we do, hit that subscribe button. I'm a nerdy news channel. I cover nerdy news every day. And this is one of the most mind-blowing stories that I did not see whatsoever on my bingo card. I'm sure a lot of you didn't either. So we got this article right here, obviously written in Chinese. It came from, I believe it's pronounced Weibo or Weibo, basically a Chinese social media site similar to X. And the reason it started to gain traction was because we've got Hideo Kojima commenting on it. This title has been on my mind since I saw the first trailer about 3 years ago. Black Myth Wukong, its original look, design, coloring, effects, and presentation have an outstanding sense of style that sets it apart from other games. I've also been eagerly following the game, and then, whatever he says. Then Ali, who I'm sure recognizes themselves as an ally, seeing you promoting and praising a game studio with such a fervent history of sexism and hatred is really disappointing to me. Oh, so sad. Thing is, we do actually know what this says. It has been translated, so we're going to go through that translation and then give you my thoughts on it, because this controversy has blown up, especially when you learn that Sweet Baby Inc. and other companies like them, these consultation companies, charge, or at least we're going to charge this game, in this studio, around $7 million for consultation. Now, what have I always said about these consultation companies? They only exist to find problems, because if you do not find any issues, let's say you hire this consultation company and they find no problem with your game, why would you go back to them for your next game? No, they need to find something to make their services worth the money you spent on them. So, of course, even if there is no issues, which 99 times out of 100, there's not going to be any issues, they are still going to find a bunch of issues, a bunch of things that are problematic, force change, make these narrative suggestions that you need to do, because you will come back for your next game. Square Enix, Sega, Blizzard, whoever it may be, will come back for their next game to have more consultation done, because, well, they did such a good job. Look at all this feedback they provided us. So when you find out that they are charging $7 million in this instance, who knows what the average going rate is, or if that's the average going rate, but that's what's being reported for this, it really makes you wonder what a money racket this truly is. Here's the English translation of that Chinese post. The reason why the team behind Black Myth Wukong has been subject to persistent sexist attacks and slander since their first promotional video is because they have consistently refused political correctness guidance and rejected the extraordinary guidance fees of millions of dollars demanded by these political correctness teams. Now you might be wondering, you might be thinking to yourself, Leon, what sort of attacks have they been experiencing? Well, hold on now, let me go back and show you. This is from November 20th of last year. How Black Myth Wukong developers' history of sexism is complicating its journey to the West. Okay, well, I mean, come on, it's IGN. What else are you gonna expect? How about another article from not even a month later, December 7th, also by IGN. Black Myth Wukong has a release date, but still no reply to reports of sexism at the Game Awards 2023. This game has been, people have been talking about this game, much like Hideo Kojima, for 3 years. I remember when this was announced, and it looked incredible then. When I first joined Saturday Night Hypnosis, about a year ago or more at this point, this is one of the first few things me and Dragon Slayer commentaries talked about, was how great this game looked. And one of the early episodes that I was on, Hypno even pulled up gameplay of it at one point at Dragon Slayer's request, despite the fact that it didn't fit what we were talking about at all. Like, that's how people have known about this game. People have been just waiting to experience how great this game is. Journey to the West, even by American standards, is a very well-known story. It is the quintessential Chinese story. I mean, it was the basis for Dragon Ball. It inspired what would go on to be the single greatest, most well-known, one of the most financially successful anime and manga of all time. This is quite literally the Odyssey of Chinese stories. It's just something that everybody inherently knows. So of course, it's going to be attacked by the woke media, by the shills like the individuals at IGM, by individuals like Alyssa Mercante and her ilk, because yes, the individual that wrote these IGN articles is in fact friendly with Alyssa Mercante. Of course, these are the folks that will be going after this game, and it almost makes me sick that I'm actively defending a game that is being made by members of the Chinese Communist Party, because, well, to live in China, you pretty much have to be a communist. It's that or die. But again, China isn't really communist. Like they are, but they also have Walmart and McDonald's, which are the two ultimate symbols of capitalism. So they're really only communists in like name only, and disappearing people for not voting for them, things to that effect. Either way, this goes on to say, actually, such teams are quite common in Europe and America. They interfere with works like Assassin's Creed, Dying Light 2, Stay Human, and God of War by pushing for politically correct female protagonists. These changes are the direct result of the interference and guidance of such teams. You have got this Chinese post coming out and lambasting, absolutely just destroying these consultation companies. If you thought that Gamergate 2, Gamergate 2.0, Gamergate 2 Electric Boogaloo, whatever you want to call it, if you thought that was only going on in America, no, Japan has been making comments on it. There are channels, there are Japanese YouTube channels I've found dedicated to putting Alyssa Mercante on blast. Now you got Chinese people, the kind of folk that aren't exactly known, for human rights and whatnot, and for caring about what the average individual thinks. And even they're like, this Gamergate 2 stuff is wild. It's actually really amazing how far this has reached. And while again, I would not normally want to align myself with anything that has to do with the Chinese Communist Party, monkeys and typewriters, broken clocks that are right twice a day. You know how all those old adages go. And yeah, they really are. They're not even the lesser of two evils. I actually 100% agree with them in this instance. How far have you gone? How much have you messed up when you're getting an ardent anarchist libertarian like myself to be like, hey, communism ain't so bad right now? Like, that's the route they're going. Game science teams refuse to communicate with these groups and reject their interference. And they say they refuse to communicate these groups, which is 100% true, because how both of these articles end is that IGN reached out to Game Science ahead of the publication of this article, but the studio did not respond to requests for comment on any of the allegations. What about secondary article here? We reached out to Game Science for comment for our article at the time, but the studio has not addressed any of these remarks made to us anywhere at this time. We also reached out to the Game Awards host Jeff Keighley for comment on the game's appearance at the Game Awards today, but did not hear back. I ain't got a whole lot nice to say about Jeff Keighley, but at least he's not feeding these absolute destructive forces in the gaming space. Most importantly, they refuse to pay the exorbitant $7 million in guidance fees. This is the direct reason why they're being attacked and slandered. Some justifications are based on the team's lack of diversity or representation. Now, I don't know if you guys have been to China. I haven't been to China, in fact. Now, my best friend has. In fact, his wife is Chinese. Beautiful couple. Love them both to death. His wife, she's fantastic. China ain't known for a whole lot of diversity. In fact, you go over to China looking diverse, and maybe you're a Muslim, maybe you're all like, I know who that are. They throw you in a concentration camp, the Uyghur Muslim camps, or you go over to China, start preaching Christianity as a white boy. You might not just come back. It really is that simple. Remember that time when China decided to shrink Finn on the Star Wars poster, or cover up Chadwick Boseman's face as the Black Panther in the Black Panther posters for the movies because China don't like black people? So yeah, the teams don't have a lot of diversity. China not exactly known for being particularly diverse, but hey, they stay up all night learning violin and math, so they're real good at what they do, which doesn't align with the political correctness standards. A typical example is an article by a major IGN writer criticizing Hogwarts Legacy and refusing to evaluate or promote it due to alleged lack of political correctness, which is incredibly wild because Hogwarts Legacy was in fact an extremely woke game. It just didn't pander, and that was the difference. Grums has weighed in on this at multiple points throughout the course of the day, or I guess yesterday by the time you're seeing this, and whether you love or hate Grums doesn't really matter to me. Facts are facts. You can't deny what he is saying here. Black Myth Wukong, $7 million shakedown by SBI. Now, we don't actually know that it was SBI, but it was one of those consultation companies that are oh so prevalent now. Whether it be Gamer X, spelled G-A-Y-M-E-R, whether it be Black Girl Gamers, whether it be Sweet Baby Inc., there's a myriad of others. There's like at least 11 that we've all reported on in some facet or another. Up to this point, as Gamergate has raged on since February, March, whenever it was. Black Myth game developer Game Science claims company companies like Sweet Baby Inc. are asking the studio for $7 million in guidance fees to fix their game and studio image. It is actually kind of amazing to me that these individuals at these companies would reach out, at these consultation companies, would reach out to a Chinese studio and be like, hey, let us consult on your game. The Chinese ain't exactly known for taking the words of Americans very seriously. If you don't recall, they kind of don't like us right now. That's why BRICS is a thing. That's why they're cozying up and getting buddy-buddy with Russia. That is why we are in all the trillions of dollars of debt we're in is to China. If anything, if you are going to consultate on these games, you should probably be doing it for free and just, chop that off the debt that we owe. Although, again, I don't really know that your expertise is worth, just putting little tiny notches, little tiny scratches in the debt. But, maybe fair is fair. Game Science was slammed by IGN and its founders' sexual innuendo and remarks which they claim were sexist. Because remember, all sexual jokes, all innuendo is out the table. That's not allowed. I cannot wait to see the content that's in this game, because if the creators of the studio, if the heads of the studio are okay with making these jokes openly, then I bet the game is going to be a blast, especially considering it stars the Monkey King. And for anyone that knows about the story of Journey to the West, the Monkey King is not a very PC character. In fact, there's probably going to be, assuming that Chinese censorship doesn't hit this game hard, because remember, censorship is definitely a thing in China as well. One of the many things they're known for. Either way, if they get the character of the Monkey King right, which I assume they will, it's their own culture, their own legacy, there's gonna be a bit of humorous vulgarity to it. The studio claims the attacks were made in order to extort guidance fees, which they refuse to pay. The founder of the studio has a controversial style that easily got him in trouble with the wrong think crowd. The author of the Black Myth Wukong hit piece, IGN sexism hit piece article, Duck Valentine, who, oh, shocker, her posts are protected. Rebecca Valentine is besties with Alyssa Mercante and even appeared in her Fight Me Bro cringe video, where she said, come fight me physically, bitch. And then when Vera Dark said, alright, pull up, she's like, no, I don't want you to give money to Keemstar, blatantly knowing she cannot handle fisticuffs with Vera Dark. Yeah, that Alyssa Mercante, the writer of these, the Chinese game is sexist articles, is buddies with. Who would have thought that? Wukong claims articles like this were used by consulting companies to shake down the studio for $7 million in guidance fees. And would you be surprised if that was true? Obviously, we don't have any proof of that, but considering we've seen IGN and Kotaku and Polygon and all these other outlets run absolute defense for these consultation companies since the inception of Gamergate 2.0, yeah, I don't think that's particularly far-fetched to believe. And then the final tweet from Grums, the situation, or at least the final one that I care to talk about in this video, the situation with Black Myth Wukong is disgusting. They cite IGN and consulting companies such as SBI as part of a Shakedown racket of $7 million in fees. Here's how it all works. As SBI founder Kim Belair explains, and this part is very important. If you don't remember, Kim Belair did in fact say this. I covered it, Hypnotic covered it, a lot of us covered it, but people on the internet, they got short-term memories. They got that goldfish brain, so it might be worth reminding you. If you don't see the value in what you're asking for when you ask for consultants, just terrify them into the possibility of what's going to happen if they don't give you what you want. Yeah, that's all. Just terrify them. Just strong arm them. Just use some of them old school mafioso tactics. Put you in some concrete shoes if you don't get your games. Your game's going to sleep with the fishes if you don't get this consultation, if you know what I'm saying. I mean, that's pretty much that is exactly what Kim Belair is saying. That's what Kim Belair tried to do to Cabrutus, is it not? That kicked this entire thing off. Here's the whole web of people who support each other and make this shakedown happen. Sweet Baby Inc. Hire us or else. Yep, pretty accurate. Reporters support the racket by writing hit piece articles and run defense for consulting companies. Play down the racket as conspiracy theory. This is not, it is in fact a conspiracy, but conspiracy is treated as such a dirty word. It's not a theory. It is a fact. Conspiracies just means someone is conspiring to do something. These reporters, the Kotakus, the Polygons, the IGNs, they are in fact conspiring with these consultation companies, and they are openly admitting it. So it is a conspiracy. just not the theory part. It is a conspiracy fact. Alyssa Mercante writes hit piece on Cabrutus Rambo for exposing Sweet Baby's long list of ruined games. Rebecca Valentine defends Alyssa and writes a hit piece article on Wukong leading to the Shakedown. Jason Schreier, oh man, let me start on this absolute pansy we spent a whole lot of time talking about on Monday on Countercast, gaslights you when it's all exposed, saying it's a hallucination and isn't happening, when we all know for a damn fact it is happening. If it wasn't happening, then why would these individuals like Kim Belair be trying to call Smash JT's previous place of employment to get him fired? Not doing it very well, by the way, openly using your name, your email address, information that leads back to you. That's how we know it was Kim Belair that did it. Like a fucking moron. Like, I'm not, I'm a fan of the blacks. I like me some blacks. I think that people that say the black people have low IQs, you are racist, disgusting, horrible individuals. That being said, that stereotype is out there, and, look, Kimmy boy, you ain't doing so great when it comes to getting that stereotype to go away. That's all I'm saying. It sure seems like it's part of a multi-million-dollar racket. In fact, DEI and DEI consulting is a huge industry. See my post about Activision and Blizzard report. We'll talk about that at a later time. They call us grifters, but they're the ones making bank. Oh, aren't they, though? Making bank. $7 million to tell Chinese people making a Chinese game about Chinese folklore. Here's how you can improve the quality of your game. I thought the whole point, these consultation companies, they claim that we want to make sure that these stories are accurate representations. We're here for good. We're here to make sure that nobody is left out. That if you're going to tell diverse stories, they're told with tact. They're told truly through the eyes that those diverse stories are meant to symbolize. Those are the people already making the game. The Chinese are making a game about Chinese folklore. I don't think they get much more tied to their own culture than that. What would you even be doing on this? Now, we know what you would be doing. You would be forcing, you would be injecting your own modernity into this game. You would be making characters black. You would be making characters gay. You would be making characters trans. You would be removing male characters. You would be making the dumb characters that remain that are male and straight dumbed down and less important to the story. You would be destroying any and all senses of masculinity that are in these games. In the country of China, a very masculine country, might I add. I mean, they're pretty tiny people, but tiny or not, they're still pretty masculine for as small as they are. It is absolutely wild. But those are just my opinions, so let me know yours in the comments down below, or let me know on X where you can find me at Bolt the Word, and please do subscribe. I'm a nerdy news channel. I cover nerdy news every day, not always about Gamergate 2 or the gaming industry, but anime, movies, music, Magic the Gathering, you name it. Check me out on Instagram at wordsofparadise_Leon, and become a member for $4.99. You can join the Discord, choose the articles I go over on a day-to-day basis, choose the videos I react to on my Friday night live stream, and of course, get involved in the discourse with over 70 other vital idols. We are a bright, beautiful, glowing, vibrant community that I cannot wait to grow further, because we do care about diversity, but only one kind of diversity of thought. So join the Discord, hit subscribe, and until next time, it is all here in the Nerdosphere, and this has been Words of Paradise.